Good morning, everyone. It says I'm live. So for now, I'm live as I'm speaking. Welcome, Richard, as first person that's put into the chat. Today, I'm going to continue speaking on the Sutta, the simile of the saw. And I just wanted to spend a lot of time with the Sutta because I think it's really important. And John and Manal have come in. Good morning. Jayanta, good morning. We're going to continue with the simile of the saw. I'm going to put the number in, and you can look at either on Sutta Central if you have a copy of the Majjhima Nikaya. Some of you may be fortunate enough to have the hard copy. Both are quite valuable. Looking at various translations is quite valuable. Chittapala. Manal is saying good morning again. So now I will put in the Sutta reference, and you can find it on Sutta Central, or if you have the hard copy, you can find it in the hard copy. The hard copy is 217, hard copy being Jnanamoli, Bhante Jnanamoli, and Bhante Bodhi's. It's wisdom. Also, Polytext Society has translations of Bhante Bodhi's as printed Bhante Bodhi's translations. So it's very nice. Ajahn Tanisaro is also a very prolific translator, and if you like his translations, you might be able to find this one. I didn't check. He probably has, because it's such a well-known simile. So with all that, we should start. Actually, should remember to pay homage to the Triple Gem. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Bhutam dhammam sangham namasami. So, as I was saying, we're continuing with the simile of the saw. And this is part 2, and we're going to start. This would be, if you have the hard copy, we're going to start on page 221 in the Wisdom publication, middle length discourses. And it has a paragraph 11. It's at the top of the page, very conveniently. And you are looking at Sutta Central. You have to scroll all the way down past the whole discussion with Kali and her mistress who was mistreating her. Past the simile of the horse trainer. So he was talking about, I'll just very briefly summarize. And then there's a Saw Grove simile. We're past that. Okay, past Kali. Okay. So he was talking about if you're being reprimanded and you're well supplied in the requisites. You're getting your needs met, and then you can be reprimanded, and then you're very sweet and receive the criticism well. But if you're not getting what you want, you might be grouchy. So it's like that. I don't call that person easy to admonish. A person like that is easy to admonish just because they're getting what they want, they're getting what they need, and so they're kind of like a good mood and they're happy. But then if they're not getting what they want, they're this dosa is a kind of lingering around their consciousness, and then they when they're reprimanded, that they can't receive the admonishment well. So it's just past that. But when a mendicant is easy to admonish, I'm looking at Bhante Sujato's translation before we get to the part that I'm going to really start focusing on. Purely because they honor, respect, and revere, worship, and venerate the teaching, then I say they're easy to admonish. And so he says, you should train yourselves. We will be easy to admonish purely because we honor, respect, revere, worship, and venerate the teachings. So that's in Bhante Sujato's translation. Excuse me here. I got something else I want to look at too. How well this is going to work. Okay. So what I want to look at now is this teaching that's repeated again and again. It says, bhikkhus, there are these 5 courses of speech that others may use when they address you. Their speech may be timely or untimely, true or untrue, gentle or harsh, connected with good or with harm, spoken with a mind of loving kindness or with inner hate. When others address you, their speech, see, he's repeating it. When others address you, their speech may be timely or untimely. When others address you, their speech may be true or untrue. When others address you, their speech may be gentle or harsh. When others address you, their speech may be connected with good or with harm. When others address you, their speech may be spoken with a mind of loving kindness or with inner hate. Herein, bhikkhus, you should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected. We shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare. With a mind of loving kindness, without inner hate, we shall abide pervading that person with a mind imbued with loving kindness, and starting with them, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility, and without ill will. That is how you should train bhikkhus. So this is something all of us should consider, that, as I was saying yesterday, when you're looking at timely or untimely speech, it's kalena wa akalena wa. That's timely or untimely. So at the appropriate time, somebody might be coming and speaking to you. It's a good time for you to hear what they're saying. It's a kind of like when he was talking about with the requisites. If it's untimely because you're hungry, because you're busy, because you're cold, whatever's going on, and so then they start telling you something, and then your mind becomes affected. The dosa or anger comes up. how can they be speaking to me now when I'm in such a miserable state? Something like that. So, so the Buddha is saying our minds will become unaffected. That's how we should train ourselves. And no matter how, if it's a pleasant time, a good time, the appropriate time to give us the information, or if it's inappropriate, still our mind should be unaffected. This is viparinama, is a change or alter. They've both Bhikkhu Bodhi and Bhante Sujato says unaffected, but it's a. When I looked at the translation of that word, it was change is one of the words, but it's a perverted was another translation of it. So we're not perverted by anger, just because it was the wrong time for somebody to talk to us. And the true or false, this is interesting, bhutena wa, abhutena wa, and bhuta is having to do with things being existing, and abhuta is non-existing. So bhuta vachana is a statement of reality. So something that's true. I just thought it was interesting because of the bhutena having to do with reality. If it's not having, it's untrue. It's not how things actually are, and they're giving you a statement that's just, either they're completely lying or they're just completely distorting reality. So no matter how they speak to you, whether it's true or false, not to be affected by that and not to react in turn and using unskillful words. So if someone is lying, it's easy to get upset and angry at somebody if we suspect that they're lying. If it seems untrue. Another thing is to just check, what are you actually saying? Get into, try to clarify with that person. Depending on your relationship with that person, you might be saying something like, "Oh, I don't know if that's really true or not. Are you sure of that?" Something like that. And try to clarify it in a kind way rather than getting angry, getting defensive. And then they may speak to you gently or harshly. And they say, Sahena wa purasena wa. So saha is gentle or mild, and parusa is rough, harsh, unkind. So no matter how, sweet, kind, wonderful someone's speaking to us, or harshly, roughly, unkindly, so our mind won't be affected. We'll keep this equanimity of mind, no matter how people are speaking to us. And so we're not going to get swayed one way or another. It's very nice when people are speaking to us in kindness and sweetness, but that shouldn't throw us off either. Throw our equanimity or equal. What is it? Another word. There's another word I want to say, but I can't think of it right now. Equilibrium. Our equilibrium gets thrown off could be thrown off. So, so it's both sides of the, ways of people speaking, and these 5 courses of speech that our mind should remain stable. So we can see things clearly, we can respond to a situation appropriately. So, and then looking at our minds will remain unaffected. We shall utter no evil words. And this is this word again, papa, evil. It's translated, Bhante Sujato says, bad words, harmful words, but you get the idea. So we won't respond in kind if somebody's treating us cruelly or speaking to us with inner hate. I didn't get to that part. My words. Beneficial or harmful. There's a couple more that I have here translated. Atta samhita wa an atta samhita wa. So it's connected with good or the goal or connected. That's a beneficial. Atta is a goal or this is interesting. It's a interest, advantage, gain, good blessing, welfare, profit, prosperity, well-being. So beneficial speech that has atta. And some people say that atta samhita is having to do with the Dhamma, that we're speaking in accordance with the Dhamma. So this one particular word has a lot of meaning. It can mean that I've translated it sometimes as this is beneficial or harmful or useful or useless is another way of looking at this one. So no matter how people are speaking to us, if it seems useless, if it seems just a waste of our time. Mechanism I'm looking at is doing something. No matter how they speak to us, if it's connected to good or harm, if it's harmful speech, but I think this beneficial or harmful can also just be seen as if it's beneficial or useless too. That's a whole range of way of understanding that particular one. So just to keep in mind, if someone is just kind of chatting away about things that seem useless to you, and you see yourself getting annoyed at that, you can say to yourself, whatever. This is one of the 5 courses of speech, and what does the Lord Buddha say I'm supposed to do? He says, how is my mind supposed to be in response to this? My mind should remain unaffected. I should utter no evil words. I shall, starting with that person, I should pervade the all-encompassing world with a heart of loving kindness. So you could be doing metta bhavana while the person is speaking to you, and you might say, oh my goodness, they're just really wasting my time here, but really having compassion for their welfare. So, and it can be spoken with a heart of loving kindness or inner hate. So you can sense if people have a kind regard towards you, or even if they're not saying anything outwardly, you can sense if they're angry or hateful towards you. So having compassion for those people as well. So I wanted to go over these 5 courses of speech really and take time with it, because it's really important to keep these in mind and how we should respond. So now there's some similes here that are quite interesting. You might not think of them as quite beautiful, but the states of mind that the Buddha is recommending actually are. Excuse me. So the Buddha has just said that whole part about how you should train yourself. Our minds will remain unaffected. We shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for the other person's welfare with a mind of loving kindness without inner hate. We shall abide pervading that person with a mind imbued with loving kindness. And starting with them, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility, and without ill will. And so then we're down to paragraph 12, and this is the simile of the earth. Bhikkhu, suppose a man came with a hoe and basket and said, I shall make this great earth to be without earth. And he would dig here and dig there, strew the soil from here and there, spit here and there, urinate here and there. Be without earth, be without earth. What do you think, bhikkhus? Could that man make this great earth be without earth? No, venerable sir. Of course not. Why is that? Because this great earth is deep and immeasurable. It is not easy to make it to be without earth. Eventually, the person would reap only weariness and disappointment. So, what is the Lord Buddha saying here? It's the measurable quality of the earth. So if our mind is immeasurable, no matter what people say to us or do, the mind is so immeasurable, it's not going to be thrown off by that. It's not going to be altered. And there's a teaching to Rahula that talks about the earth. He's talking about all four of the great elements and space. But here, this is the earth. Rahula, develop meditation that is like the earth. For when you develop meditation that is like the earth, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contexts will not invade your mind and remain. So this is this contact that the people speaking to you. And so just like they throw dirty things on the earth. Oh, just think about our trash pits that are, the dumps that we have. He goes on detail with what they throw, pus, blood, etc. These days we very carefully put them in the rubbish and take all that to the dump. Well, anyway, the earth is not humiliated, disgusted because of that. So too, develop meditation like the earth. For when you develop meditation like the earth, agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. So I think this is what he was pointing to when he was talking to the monks, when he's using this other simile, just this person thinking that they can somehow affect the earth, when the earth is so great. So if the mind has this immeasurable quality like the earth, then it will not be humiliated or angry or disgusted, repelled because of that. So, too, bhikkhus, there are these 5 courses of speech. And then the 5 courses of speech are timely or untimely, true or untrue, gentle or harsh, connected with good or harm, spoken with a mind of loving kindness or with inner hate. When others address you, your mind should be unaffected. You should train this way. So there's ellipsis here, so I'm piecing it together. So then he goes on with another simile. So too, bhikkhus. Okay, suppose a man were to come with crimson, turmeric, indigo, or charmaine and said, see, these are colors. They make a paint out of these substances. I shall draw pictures and make pictures appear in empty space. What do you think? Because could that man draw pictures and make pictures appear on empty space? No, Venerable Sir. Why is that? Because empty space is formless and non-manifestive. It is not easy to draw pictures there or make pictures appear there. Eventually, the man would reap only weariness and disappointment. So I'm going back to this teaching to Rahula. Oh, I didn't give you the reference to that. This is in Majjhima Nikaya as well. It's number 62. It's a greater advice to Rahula. And you can read the whole sutta yourself to get the background story and everything. It's quite beautiful. I use these terms because it means enriching, or it's beautiful because of the teaching that he's pointing to. Not everything in it is like appealing in a regular sense of the word. But anyway, so I'm going back to this. And then the Lord Buddha goes through all four of the great elements that we should develop meditation, like earth, water, fire, air. And then he says, Rahula, develop meditation like space. For when you develop meditation like space, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. Just as space is not established anywhere, so too, Rahula, develop meditation like space. So for when you develop meditation like space, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. So this is interesting when you think about if somebody's speaking to you and there's no place for the thought to land. It doesn't have any place to establish itself. It's just like trying to paint a picture in the air. It's not going to stay. It's not going to land. It's useless, So people may be saying cruel things to you, agreeable and disagreeable contacts. So this is interesting too. It also says agreeable and disagreeable, just like the 5 courses in speech. It can be beneficial or harmful, they can be true or false, and so on, timely or untimely. So no matter what they are, they're not going to damage your equanimity. They're not going to throw you off. So then the similes continue. Suppose a man, and this is back to the simile of the saw. I hope it's not confusing that I've gone from one sutta to another, but this is just comparing the teaching. The greater teaching of Rahula has something very similar when he's talking about the 4 great elements in space. It just stops at space, and then he goes into speaking about the development of the Brahma Viharas to Bhante Rahula. So Bhante Rahula, the Buddha's son, was, I believe, about a teenager around the time he received that teaching. But this teaching is to monks in general. Again, the simile of the saw coming back. So, Bhikkhu, suppose a man with a blazing grass torch said, I shall heat up and burn away the Ganges with this blazing grass torch. What do you think, Bhikkhus? Could that man heat up and burn away the river Ganges with that blazing grass torch? No, venerable sir. Why is that? Because the river Ganges is deep and immense. It is not easy to heat up or burn it away with a blazing grass torch. Eventually, the man would reap only weariness and disappointment. So it's having the quality of the mind that's immense and deep, like the river Ganges. So this is also a water element, which is talked about in the teaching to Bhante Rahula. But it's a little bit different. The idea, though, is that agreeable and disagreeable context won't affect the mind because it's so vast. You have a mind that's abundant, exalted, immeasurable, then it's not going to be affected by somebody's words. So too, because there are these 5 courses of speech, and you should have them memorized by now. If you hear it, this is a thing with repetition. There's ellipses here. So there's timely or untimely, true or false, harsh or gentle, beneficial or harmful or useless. I want to say useless speech. And connected with loving kindness, spoken with a heart of loving kindness or with inner hate. No matter how they speak to us, we should have a mind that's unaffected by their speech, compassionate for the other person's welfare, and starting with them, we should pervade the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness. So then the next and the last simile here, because suppose there was a catskin bag that was rubbed, well rubbed, thoroughly rubbed, well rubbed, soft, silky, rid of rustling, rid of crackling. And they used to tan the hides, I guess, of animals. cover Teddy's ears. Unfortunately, this is human nature that we use the bodies of other beings. So anyway, there's this cat skin bag. The hide is made very soft from the tanning and the treatment. And so a person came along with a stick and said, there is this catskin bag rubbed and well rubbed, rid of rustling and so on. I shall make it rustle and crackle. That seems almost ridiculous that they would say that, but they think they're going to make noise by rustling it with a stick. And so, could that person make it rustle or crackle with a stick or a pot shard, a piece of pottery? No, venerable sir. Why is that? Because that catskin bag is being rubbed and rid of all the impurity. It's been made very soft and pliable. Eventually, the man would reap only weariness and disappointment. And so I pondered this because I didn't see another simile that had any reference to this kind of thing. But when something is soft and pliable, it's not going to make noise, right? So it's like the softness and pliability of the mind, the flexibility of the mind is what I was thinking. So it's not going to react. The mind is not going to react to anything that anyone says or does because of the pliability, the softness of the mind. Soft, like gentleness and you can imagine something like a really smooth and soft and pliable. I think that's why they were talking about kind of a leather. We have synthetics that may be like that. Don't like the idea of a skin of an animal. But I'd say more the pliability and softness. So too, there are these 5 courses of speech that others may use when they address you. Their speech may be timely or untimely, true or untrue, gentle or harsh, connected with good or harm, spoken with a mind of loving kindness or inner hate. When others address you, and he repeats it again, their speech may be timely or untimely. When others address you, their speech may be true or untrue. When others address you, their speech may be gentle or harsh. When others address you, their speech may be connected with good or harm. When others address you, their speech may be spoken with a mind of loving kindness or with inner hate. Herein, everyone, I'm inserting everyone instead of just the bhikkhus. You should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected. We shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with a mind of loving kindness without inner hate. We shall abide pervading that person, imbued with loving kindness, and starting with them, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind similar to a catskin bag, exalted, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how you should train yourselves. This is how you should train. So, and no, actually, that was not the final simile. I was very much wrong about that incorrect speech. That would be abutena, but that was only mistakenly untrue. So the last simile here is the famous simile of the saw. Bhikkhus, even if bandits were to sever you savagely, limb by limb, with a 2-handled saw, anyone who gave rise to a mind of hate towards them would not be carrying out my teaching. Herein, I'm just inserting everyone, you should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected. We shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with a mind of loving kindness, without inner hate. We shall abide pervading them with a mind imbued with loving kindness. And starting with them, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how you should train everyone. So if you keep this advice on the simile of the saw constantly in mind, do you see any course of speech, trivial or gross, that you could not endure? So this is actually the point here. Why he's saying such an extreme thing, somebody savagely cutting you up. He's saying that this is you're not going to be following his teaching if you have hatred towards that person. And can you see any speech that would actually, if you think about this, if you keep this advice constantly in mind, do you see any course of speech, trivial or gross, that you could not endure? This is just speech. No, Venerable Sir. Therefore, you should keep this advice on the simile of the saw constantly in mind. That will lead for your welfare and happiness for a long time. That is what the Blessed One said. The bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. So I really appreciate the sutta. I'm saying sadhu to the Lord Buddha for his teaching. Even though it's maybe difficult to hear this, I think this may be part of his way he approaches things, is he does challenge our equanimity by bringing up such kind of coarse and difficult things to hear. So that I offered this for your reflection, and I see more people have come in. Pamela, Susan, Suman, excuse me, Norma, Philip, and Niranjan. And do we have everyone that's come in? I think that's it. Oh, I keep trying to use this like a touch screen. It's not. Okay. This is live, yes. This is the second part. That's why if you might have been confused, because the first one is a simile of the saw, and this is the second on the simile of the saw. And Stevie says, good morning from LA. Okay, so we have a little bit of time here. I don't see any questions as of yet. Is there any comment? Do you have any comment, Venerable?
Okay, thank you. So,
and let's see, Josh is here. I don't know if you want to stay anonymous, but anyway.
Going back to sort of what we were talking about yesterday, are we to take from this that a bhikkhu should not associate with bhikkhunis at all until he has reached the point of mental discipline where, he is able to keep his mind with like this degree of equanimity?
Okay, so our friend here is, I don't know if you want to, I don't know if some people don't want to have their names mentioned. They don't care. It's asking the beginning of the sutta, what spurred this whole teaching is this monk, Molya Paguna, and he was associating ever much with the bhikkhunis. So he was hanging out with the bhikkhunis, maybe at the bhikkhuni monastery. And then when somebody said anything critical about the bhikkhunis, he got very defensive, and it may have been justifiable criticism, like they may have been doing something that wasn't appropriate. So then and then they were very defensive of him. So there was like some kind of attachment going on and overprotectiveness, and it seemed like it was kind of making it almost like an uproar in the community, because I think this is why the Lord Buddha went on so extensively about how people are behaving, other people's behavior, because so the monks were concerned about his behavior, and the Paguna was very reactive to what other people were saying, and so there was like this big kind of kerfluffle going on. Is the way I see it, more than just like them having conversation about the Dhamma or something on occasion in an appropriate space, like in a public Dhamma hall. It's not like we shouldn't have association with one another. If a monk, if a bhikkhu or a bhikkhuni is feeling lust for a particular individual, they shouldn't be around them. They certainly shouldn't be alone with them. So there's some certain kind of protections for our for us to stay monastics. We're no longer a bhikkhu or bhikkhuni if we behave in a certain way with another person, actually. If we have any kind of motivated by lust. And particularly another gender. I don't know how to say it, but to be fair, same gender also, depending, I think it depends, but if you're behaving that way, it's probably better that you're not in robes, because that's not really what, and that Buddha also talks about the household. How does he say it? Something about the desires or the household life, where is it? He says, he actually asks the Paguna, Venerable Paguna, is it true all that they're saying about you, that you're causing all this disturbance? Basically, he's causing a disturbance in the community with this. And so aren't you a clansman who has gone forth out of faith from home life into homelessness? And then Venerable Paguna says, yes, Venerable Sir. Paguna, it is not proper for you, a clansman gone forth out of faith from home life into homelessness, to associate over much. This is the over much, I think, is the too much. It's kind of questionable if he's spending too much time at the Bhikkhuni monastery. Maybe he's interested in a particular Bhikkhuni, or maybe he's, I don't know. Therefore, if anyone speaks dispraise of those Bhikkhunis in your presence, okay, let's see, there's something about, okay, you should abandon any desires and thoughts based on the household life. So he's thinking that he's behaving in this way because there's still some desires, even just the comfort of being with particular people. It's too close of an association. And I know it's troublesome, and there is in this is a whole other issue about gender. It's a big issue, and we know there's been, because of society mainly, there has been gender discrimination and alienation and various things that go on. And I don't think this is really Dhamma. This is my opinion here. It's more cultural. And then the Lord Buddha had to adapt. And then there's just the difference of the physical makeup of a male body and a female body, and the potential for pregnancy. There's all those kind of things that are pretty serious. And the exploitation of women also. Maybe he was getting them to sew his robes and cook a nice meal for them. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so there's a lot of issues that's gender related. But it's that he needed to abandon any thoughts and desires based on the household life. And then he was also causing a disturbance, as far as I could see, from what was being described, that he's bringing up legal issues against people who said anything against the bhikkhunis. So there is a question here. Okay, I'll put this here. He says, beautiful Dhamma talk and sutta. How can one apply the 4 types of right effort mindfully in real time when speaking and receiving the 5 kinds of speech, both beneficial and non-beneficial? No, that's very good. 4 kinds. So if 4 kinds of right effort. So one is to guard the mind from the arising of unwholesome mental states. This is the first one, protecting the mind. So if you are keeping this simile in mind, no matter how people, like I say to myself, no matter how people will speak to me, I will have a heart of loving kindness. So I'm bringing up the wholesome. So this is actually third. But so when I see irritation coming up when someone is speaking to me, then I recognize it. And the second one is abandoning the arisen unwholesome. So that would be the second of the 4. And then to bring up, like if I'm constantly cultivating a heart of loving kindness, then that will help bring that arise. And actually, if we have a mind that's abundant, exalted, immeasurable, then that's fulfilling the development of the unwholesome state. So this actually would work very beautifully, the 4 right efforts in combination. That would be a good support for our ability to have the mind unaffected. So initially, we're still going to have some kind of reaction to what people say. It takes practice. It's like not something just because I think it's a good idea. This sounds so beautiful, and I want to do it. And yes, I should have a mind that's unaffected, but I notice that there is some impact. There's a contact that's agreeable or disagreeable, and I notice my mind is starting to waver a little bit, heading towards the unwholesome. So this is guarding the mind, protecting it from it actually, coming to a full-blown unwholesome mental state. But I'm aware of that. I'm aware of contact at the mind door. This is speech and what they're saying. Being aware of the body, feeling the tension in the body. So I think keeping it in mind is will also help with preventing with the arising of the unwholesome. If we just I'm trying to I've shortened how it's said because there's so many repetitions. But if I have at least some idea of what the Buddha is telling me, how I'm supposed to respond, and I have that in my mind, and then I also may say, oh, this is untimely speech, or is this true or not? Or, so I might say one of the types of speech that it seems like I'm encountering, and that'll help me connect with that teaching. This was so untimely. And I can feel myself getting irritated because this is really the wrong time for them to be saying this to me. They should have said it to me much sooner, or I'm too busy to deal with it, whatever it is. But if I see all that kind of irritation, like, why are they speaking to me at this time? I go, oh, okay, this is untimely speech. And what did the Buddha say? How am I supposed to? My mind will remain unaffected. I will utter no evil words. I will abide compassionate for their welfare with a heart of loving kindness. And starting with them, I'll pervade the all-encompassing world of the heart of loving kindness. So I might remind myself of that teaching. It may be just a little bit of a shorthand in our hearts that we just say, oh, this is harmful speech, or this is harsh speech. How did the Buddha say I should respond to this? Or we may be getting flattered, or we may be kind of like thinking, oh, this person is so great. They're always speaking to me in this gentle manner, and they're always so whatever. And then, so I'm kind of floating on a cloud, and then before I know it, they say something, they get upset about something that I did, and they're criticizing me. And then I'm like, how can they be speaking to me like this? It throws me off balance. So we should be careful with both, not to have our equanimity. I'm getting the equilibrium and equanimity scrambled in my speech. So, to keep the mind in balance, the 4 right efforts, definitely preventing the arising of the unwholesome, by keeping this teaching in mind, when we see the unwholesome arising, then we abandon it as quickly as we can, carefully, kindly to ourselves. And then this cultivation of the Brahma Viharas. There's something that I wanted to mention too, is that all three of the four Brahma Viharas are in this teaching when he says how we should respond. There's the equanimity is the mind will be unaffected, and then compassionate for the person's welfare, and then the heart of loving kindness. So this is 3 out of 4. Mudita should also be cultivated, but maybe when somebody is their speech isn't so that it's difficult for us to bear. I mean, maybe mudita is not called for at this time, but another time may be good. So yeah, thank you. That's a really good point, that the 4 right efforts and this teaching can work well together. Let's see, I don't see any other questions. Somebody says, so much Dhamma, so little time. Sorry, Norma. This is, yes, there's so much Dhamma. So we just apply ourselves to what's available to us, what we can seek out what, if we're some aspect of the teaching that we're really drawn to, it's beneficial to us at this time. So anything else that anyone wants to add? So we can end, and it's about 9 anyway.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And sadhu to all of you. And
Program tonight.
There's
Chat at 7:30. So all the questions about Buddha Dhamma Sangha. There'll be a panel of monastics.
Okay, have a good day.